Hello everyone, I'm Sharpeter43 once again, bringing you all a draft analysis for a brand new league that I'm participating in. It's called the IBL, or International Battling League, I think it is. Battling League, jeez, I said Ling. Battling League. It's because, yeah, you know, battling and then league and then it's just battling. Okay, I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, this is the draft analysis for it. It's also a D League, by the way. It's not the main league or anything like that, because season 5 of the main league actually ended not too long ago, so they decided to open up the D League for a couple of reasons. Supposedly the commissioner wants to experiment with a few changes regarding the format of the league, like whether or not it's going to be point based or even tier based. Well, in his case, he decided to make it essentially a hybrid of the two. He's applying tiers, creating new ones as well, and then also applying points to the values of all the mods in their respective tiers and all that good stuff. It's kind of hard to explain, honestly, but yeah, it's something like that. And that, and also he wants to also recruit some new coaches for his next season, because his plan is to actually do one more season for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, because remember that Generation 8 is pretty much around the corner, with it supposedly coming out by the end of this year, honestly. So yeah, but yeah, that's his plan. And because of it, he was looking for people to participate in the D League to see who he can recruit, who he can rely on to be in his next league, you know, his next season for his main league, because yeah, this is the D League, obviously. So anyways, on to the draft analysis now. So we got the 5th pick in this league, actually, so no more first picks, unfortunately, because now we don't have an advantage at picking. We're now in the middle, which supposedly a lot of people say that's actually the worst part to be in. I honestly don't know, but I honestly don't mind, especially because this is a D League. I'm actually looking forward to trying to draft mons that I actually never have picked before. I don't know if they're going to be good or if they're going to synergize very well, but I'm just picking them just because I actually want to, you know, try new mons. Because, not to mention, and this is only if I actually do end up making the main league. If I make the main league and I actually try to, and I previously, which would be in this case, try to draft a hardcore team, I feel like it would be a lot more difficult to do that in the main season if I want to actually, you know, keep it fresh and use different mons, you know. And because the only thing I can end up doing if I actually end up making the main league, if I draft a hardcore team in the D League, is I might try to end up redrafting the same team I used in the D League, and that just wouldn't be anything new, honestly. So obviously with this D League, especially given its experimental nature right now, I'm very inclined to just pick whatever the heck I want, as long as it's something different. Don't get me wrong though, there are still going to be some returning mons that I've drafted in previous leagues, so don't be surprised to see that. But yeah, for the most part, I'm going to be doing my best to draft different things here, and if I do badly because of it, you all know that it's on me. So, and I might get a little, you know, bitter about it, but again, whose fault was it? Mine's, obviously. Now with that said, let's get into the first pick here. The first pick for my, you know, for my draft here is going to be Jirachi. Now Jirachi, if I remember correctly here, according to this doc, it's tier 1, and because it's a tier point based draft league, it has a value of 180 points. So that was my first pick, and the reason why is because, I don't know, Jirachi is a mon I've never used. It has it has a lot of coverage, actually, a lot of coverage moves, and does have a fair amount of utility in the form of pivoting and setting up hazards, wish passing. It can do a bunch of cool things, I feel. And on top of that, it also has the Serene Grace ability, with a couple of moves that can actually abuse Serene Grace heavily, actually, in the forms of Iron Head and Heart Stamp with Jirachi, and they're both stab on Jirachi, so it'll do a lot of damage while potentially flinching a lot of mons. Don't get me wrong, this move is very, very dependent on RNG, and I'm not necessarily the luckiest when it comes to abusing RNG, so that might not actually be that effective, but if it does, well, you know that, I mean, that's kind of what Jirachi does. And again, that would only be a last resort, like as if I have literally no other option and can't just do anything else. So that would be like the last resort, if anything. So yeah, but my other pick here is actually going to be Dragon Knight here. This one I believe is it's not tier 2, it's surprisingly tier 3. It's because this league, because it's a point tier based kind of league, it has more than more than 9 tiers. It's like 10 tiers, and with the inclusion of mega tiers, that's like another 5. It's like 15 tiers in this league. That's actually kind of crazy. Never actually seen that before, honestly. It's usually 5 with the additional mega tiers, but still, this is actually incorporating points and tiers, which is crazy. But yeah, anyways, Dragonite is a mon with 140 points in value, and it's in tier 3. I picked this mon just because it's a dragon type, and Dragonite is one of the most hard-hitting dragon types to in the game. And unlike most dragon types like Garchomp or Salamence, which could probably be better than Dragonite in some instances, Dragonite actually has a priority move in E-Speed, so it's a very powerful priority move, and it's one that has more priority than other priority moves like Quick Attack and Fake Out and all that stuff. And not to mention, it hits hard, so it's like with a high base power and a move like E-Speed, this thing could be very, very deadly, especially if like I slapped a Choice Band onto it, or if I even run like a Dragon Dancing variant or something like that. It can do a lot of damage. It has Defog, so that's like an option to remove hazards. It has reliable recovery as well, which is another thing that I don't think a lot of other dragon types carry. Like, you don't see Zygarde or Garchomp having Roost or anything like that. I think Salamence does get Roost, but will rarely run it unless it's running like a defensive set or something, just because Salamence plays a more offensive role, and I kind of want multiple options. Like, I think Dragonite could be offensive but also be defensive if I need it to be, if Dragonite's purpose is not to sweep or anything like that. So yeah, that's very good. And on top of that, it has very, very good coverage that it can also handle its own weaknesses. For example, this thing is heavily weak to ice moves, obviously. Dragonite has various ways of handling ice types. It has fighting type moves, it has steel type moves, it has, I think, rock type moves as well, honestly. So obviously there's a lot of potential with Dragonite. It can set up and it can remove hazards. It can do all kinds of things, which is one of the reasons I picked it, obviously. I don't know if it synergizes well with Jirachi, but honestly, I mean, it's not a bad idea. So yeah, but that's Dragonite for you. Now my third pick here is actually going to be Tapu Fini. So as you can see right here, I actually got like an interesting Dragon Fairy Steel Core kind of going on right here. Although I was watching the stream that was hosted in terms of the IBL D-League draft, like where they streamed the draft picks for everybody from the commissioner's perspective, and he and another guy were both saying that the way I have Dragonite and Tapu Fini, albeit it's part of the whole Dragon Fairy Steel Core, it doesn't synergize well supposedly with Dragonite, because Dragonite relies heavily on its Dragon Stab as opposed to the Flying Stab, because Flying Stab is actually not very useful on Dragonite, given that its only powerful flying type move is Fly, and Aerial Ace and Wing Attack, I think, they're very, very low in power, that it won't be seen running it most of the time, and really heavily relies on Fly, which is a move that you can only depend on if it's a Z move, Dragonite. But other than that, I mean, it can't use much of its Dragon Stab if Tapu Fini's around, because of the Misty Terrain having Dragon types. I know that Dragonite is airborne, but a lot of other mons are also grounded, and remember that Misty Terrain protects stats from both sides of the field, which is kind of crazy. But I don't know, honestly, like I said, I just wanted to pick mons that I didn't really draft in the past, honestly. And while Dragonite is a mon that I've actually drafted in the past in the form of the Nacho Gold Digger League 2, I mean, I don't think I've ever used this mon in a long time either way. So I mean, and not to mention, with this combination of mons, I don't think I've ever used Dragonite either, honestly. Like, I don't even think I had a Dragon Fairy Steel Core to begin with, whether a good one or a bad one. I've never had one when I had Dragonite drafted, so now we do. Now we can see how it works. They're saying that it might not be a good idea, but honestly, who knows? Maybe they don't know any better, I don't know. Or maybe I don't know any better, but I'm about to learn right now. But anyways, with that said, fourth pick here, Galvantula. Now, the reason why I got Galvantula was because I'm noticing right now that a lot of my mons are below 100, or, well, below 105, because Jirachi is 100 speed. But Dragonite and Tapu Fini are within the A's in terms of speed, and I need something that can either be faster than all of these mons, or have something that can help these mons, kind of be faster than the opposing mons. And I felt like Galvantula was a decent idea because it's a mon with over 105 speed and has sticky webs, which means I can set them up and maybe have powerful mons like Dragonite do stuff, or maybe slow mons down for Jirachi to Iron Hit spam or something like that. And then Tapu Fini, if it's a setup set, like I can just simply you know, sweep with Tap Affinity or something. Like with Sticky Webs, I feel like the first 3 months can do a lot of things offensively if I get it going. So it's an electrical type mon as well. It's a bug type as well, which can cover offensive types like Psychic and Dark types with the move Bug Buzz and all. It can pivot as well with Volt Switch. And I think when it comes to ground types like or dragon types like Garchomp or Zygarde, there's always hidden power Ice, which will do a huge chunk of damage, and Galvantula outspeeds both of them if they're not scarred or something like that. So that's actually really good. And Galvantula I think was a tier 5. Tapu Fini was tier 2 I think. Yeah, tier 2. Yeah, Tapu Fini was tier 2 with 160 points, and then Galvantula was 100 points. Yeah, I think that's how it was. But yeah, so that's my pick, and I thought that was a pretty good idea. I feel like Galvantula, it's a relatively hard-hitting mon. It has Compound Eyes as well, which means it can hit Thunders very reliably for the most part, because, you know, it could still miss, but, you know, it has higher accuracy than what it normally does, you know. I think it has like 70 accuracy, which we don't have to worry about now, honestly. But yeah, so that's Galvantula for you. Tier 5. I didn't think it was a bad pick, honestly. And by the way, because this is a point-based league, we had actually 1,000 points to use up on. So I'm not gonna be doing the counts. Like, I'm not gonna be counting down how many points you guys, how many points I have with each pick. But you guys can easily find out if you guys just simply do the calcs or something. But just know that based on these picks also are dependent on how many points I have to use, honestly. So yeah. But after Galvantula, here's my 5th pick. Alolan Muck. Now the reason why I got Alolan Muck is just because I wanted something that can, like, I needed a knockoff user, and I felt like Muck was one of the finest of knockoff users because it's bulky, and knockoff is stab on Alolan Muck because Alolan Muck is a dark type as well, unlike the regular Muck, which is only poison type. Alolan Muck is actually poison and dark, which is really good, and it's really bulky. It's immune to Psychic, which is a very common offensive typing mon, or a type in general, that's applied onto several mons in order to, you know, hit a lot of things hard. And so yeah, and not to mention Muck also kind of has its own like variety of attacks and coverage and all that stuff, since it gets elemental punches, it gets pursuit to pursuit trap, a lot of other things. It can also, I think it has some interesting abilities in Poison Touch and then Gluttony, like in case I want to use like 50-50 barrier or something. It can run some decent sets. The only problem with Alolan Muck is that it's once again a slow mon, but it's bulky enough to take at least a hit or two, and I can hit something really hard in return, and maybe even be lucky and get a poison or something, and then I can have something else to, you know, cripple it further or something, the opposing mons, that is. But Alolan Muck I think was tier, let's see, what tier was Alolan Muck? Alolan Muck was, it's not tier 4, it's not tier, what tier was Alolan Muck? For some reason I can't find it here. Maybe I'm blind or something, but I'm gonna assume, oh, actually it's probably right here somewhere in the M side. It is tier, where the heck is Muck A? Where the heck is Muck A? For some reason Muck isn't in this. How the hell did I pick Muck then? Could have sworn I picked Muck somewhere, but I don't know. Muck is not here for some reason. Could have sworn I saw Muck somewhere around here. Because otherwise, how on earth did I pick it? Muck A. Muck Alolan. Where the hell is that? I see Muck Marowak Alola, but Muck Alolan? Oh, there he is. This was also tier 5 then. Okay, so Muck Alolan was actually tier 5 with 100 points in value, obviously. And so yeah, I already mentioned why I picked it. It's pretty decent. It's just slow, and that's the only problem, but I mean, its coverage is also pretty good, and it does have ways to kind of deal with mons that are typically fast anyways. And usually when going up against fast mons, they're not usually worried about getting hit too hard, because sometimes their speed actually overwhelms their offensive prowess, you know. But anyways, at least I think so, but you know, I don't know any better. So 6th pick here is going to be Seismitoad. Seismitoad is a mon that... Okay, so a lot of people were complaining about this pick, honestly, because Seismitoad is once again another slow-ass mon. And again, I have a water type already in type Affinity, which Seismitoad is. And not to mention, this thing is quad weak to grass type moves, which I do have some resistances like Dragonite and Jirachi, but when I have two mons that are water types, it kind of makes it easier for them to kind of pick what moves they're going to prep for against me and whatnot. But the reason why I picked the Seismitoad was because, I don't know, I wanted more water resistances, and because I know that Scald is a thing, and a lot of my mons are kind of like on the physical side, you know, like they're physically offensive and all that stuff, like Jirachi and Dragonite, and I kind of don't want to burn being a thing. Like, I don't want Scald to be a prominent move to be used against me, so I decided to draft Seismitoad, which has the water absorb ability, which allows me to, like, you know, eat up Scalds for days. And not to mention, it gives Seismitoad some decent recovery in that sense if I manage to predict the opponents correctly. And it's also another reliable stealth rocker, because I think the only one that I had at the moment was just Jirachi, which I don't think I'm going to be trying to use that much with for stealth rocks. And even if I could, remember that I also don't want to be limited to only one specific mon to set up hazards, because if I do, then that makes it very, very easy for opponents to understand what I want to do, honestly, and all that stuff. Plus, I think Seismitoad, I mean, is not very powerful to say the least, and probably not even the bulkiest of mons. But again, it's for the aforementioned. It's just because it has water absorb and it can set up rocks, and for what it has in coverage is not that bad either. Like, it's most of the time going to be using stab. It's dual stab anyways, like Earthquake and Waterfall, and you know that both of those types are good offensive typings. So yeah. And okay, so Seismitoad I think was. Seismitoad was, what tier was Seismitoad? Seismitoad was, this thing was actually really, really low in the tiers, actually. But where? Seismitoad? No. Unless these people didn't jot it down. Okay, Seismitoad was actually tier 8, worth 40 points here. Remember that this point system is forcing me to also pick mons that are from lower tiers, so... because it can't always be like the good stuff. Obviously, this is why I'm not good at drafting sometimes, because honestly it's really hard to pick something good and then mix it with something that's not deemed that good, honestly. But that's what makes draft leagues interesting to begin with, honestly. So yeah, but Seismitoad is pick 6. Now my 7th pick here is gonna be Nidal King. Nidal King is a mon that okay, so this mon is also really, really slow, which makes me, like, so far all of my mons have been really, really slow with the exception of Galvantula, but it's one of the reasons why I'm appreciating Galvantula right now, because it's faster than all these mons that I have right now, and it's also one that can set up sticky webs so that it can make a lot of my mons faster, unless they're flying types, of course. But this Nidal King, it's one of those mons that it's kind of like Jirachi, just has a lot of coverage. And I think Nidal King has like some of the finest of coverage, because it can cover either a lot of weaknesses or a lot of common types that are weak to said moves, because Nidal King has a lot of moves like, okay, for one thing, it has dual stab, which is good, and has coverage moves like Ice Beam. It has Bolt Beam coverage as well, which is crazy. It has Flamethrower, I think it can learn, and it also has, oh, it's another rocker, another stealth rocker. So I have a 3rd stealth rocker here, which is good. I don't remember if this thing can get knockoff though. I think it can, but I could be wrong, honestly. It might not. But either way, this thing hits a lot of things really, really hard, that if I get sticky webs up with Galvantula, I can actually, you know, hit a lot of things real hard, because remember that this thing has the sheer force ability and can hit a lot of things real hard as well. Like if you slap a life orb onto it or something. But yeah, so, and Nidal King I think was also in, forgot what tier was this thing in. This thing was in, okay, this was in tier 6, worth 80 points. So yeah, that's Nidal King for you. I mean, it's a mon that I've never used, so it's because another problem here so far is the fact that I have Alolan Muck and Nidal King, 2 poison types, which means, oh, and Jirachi, that's already 3 mons weak to ground, which is really, really bad. Like, I was always hoping that's why I got Dragonite as well, is just because it's a flying type. I didn't feel Salamence was a good idea, because Salamence is not as bulky as Dragonite, and Dragonite is. But I got Dragonite because I was afraid that I would end up drafting things that are weak to the ground types. So, but yeah, nonetheless, like I said, if I have a sticky webs user that like Galvantula, and I'm dealing with mons that are not flying types that are faster than Nidal King, I should be fine, honestly. But anyways, 8th pick here is going to be Mega Gallade. Now, Mega Gallade is actually a mon that I've never actually used. I have used Gallade, though, in the past. In fact, I actually used it in NGDO 1, where I used the regular Gallade, and I actually used it pretty effectively. So, I figured I never drafted Mega Gallade, so I'll just try to use it here in this game, or in this league, since I've never actually used it. From what I understand, it's a pretty good mon in the draft format, I think. Because it's faster than its regular form, obviously, by a long shot. It's about as fast as Mega Metagross, and has that ridiculous attack stat, kind of like Mega Metagross. The only difference is that Mega Metagross has Tough Claws and Mega Gallade does not, but again, it still hits really, really hard. It's like, it has like 165 attack. Now, this thing actually does get knockoff, and has some pretty powerful fighting type moves. Has Zen Headbutt as well. Like, it has very good dual stab, and then on top of that, it has some decent coverage moves like Leaf Blade, Knockoff, and the Elemental Punches. And it also has priority moves in the forms of Shadow Sneak and all that stuff. So, yeah, Mega Gallade is a mon that I feel like, you know what, I've used the regular form in the past, and pretty well. Let's see how we do against, or let's see how we do with the Mega. Maybe it'll be better. Who knows? But yeah, Mega Gallade, I think this thing was... I don't remember what tier this was, but hold on, let me check. Mega Gallade in the Mega tier, it was tier 1. It was tier 1, which means I didn't have to waste any points on this, I think. I don't remember, because it says 0 here, so I don't know if that means it's free or what, but yeah, I decided Mega Gallade anyways, just because I thought it was good. And not to mention, I didn't have a fighting type so far with everything that I drafted so far. I do have a psychic type, which makes it kind of a... I mean, I don't know. It's a physical variant anyways, and Jirachi can be special most times. I don't know. But yeah, I was liking Mega Gallade the way it looked from right here anyway, so yeah, that's Mega Gallade for you. So my 9th pick is going to be now Decidueye. Now, at this point, some people were saying that now that my draft is starting to look a little weak to the ghost typings. So, I don't know, man. I mean, I usually try to find ways to get around a lot of the weaknesses I have, because I think that's been the history of a lot of the draft leagues that I've done. I've always drafted mons very, very poorly in terms of synergy, that I actually end up paying for them once I start putting a lot of the mons into practice, because I end up, you know, drafting mons that don't synergize well, and as a result, I just get bodied because of it. But you know what? Again, this is a D league, and I'm not really trying to go hardcore with these drafts, and even then... Even if I wanted to, I'm trying to just see how I can use different mons. Because remember that also repetition with the same mons, while it's not necessarily a bad thing, it can get somewhat boring for some people, honestly. Like, even though I'm already boring, I guess why not go the full mile, honestly. But you know what, again, I wasn't feeling like doing the same thing over and over again anyway, so... And speaking of repetitions, Decidueye is a mon that I have used in the past as well. I've used it in the ICBA, whereas Dragonite in the NGDO 1. So these are the only 2 mons so far that I've actually used in the past, but everything else I've never used. But again, people complain about it not synergizing well with a lot of these mons. But again, what I'm trying to do is trying to draft new mons that I've never used. It's just hard to synergize with mons that I've never used in draft format, honestly. Especially if I've never used the mons in general, like Galvantula. Like, I've never used Galvantula even in the Smogon battles, so I wanted to see how I fare in the draft format using it anyways. Maybe it could be good, I don't know. There's people who criticize what I pick because they know better, but they don't seem to understand that I don't know any better. So what are you gonna do in those scenarios? You can't really do anything. You can only tell me it's bad, but I already picked it, so what am I gonna do? What are you trying to do anyways? Discourage me from feeling confident in winning? Who knows? Maybe I can get a dub or 2. But anyways, all that digression aside, so Decidueye, I forgot what Decidueye was in terms of tiers, damn it. Decidueye is, what tier? He's tier 6 as well, 80 points as well. So Decidueye is a mon that has priority, 2 different priority moves. It has Sucker Punch, or it has Shadow Sneak. It has Defog, which gives me another defogging option, and it can set up as well and do a lot of damage. It's relatively powerful. And Baton Pass can be used in this game as well, so I can actually use like setup strategies to, you know, Baton Pass if it's possible, you know. So with that said, I mean, that's decided why for you. It has decent coverage as well. It has various coverage moves with priority and an option to defog. It has reliable recovery as well, so it can be run bulkily if I wanted to. It can also pivot, so that's also very, very good. So yeah, Vape Orion is my 10 pick here. Now the reason why I picked Vape Orion, and this is like the third water type that I pick, honestly, and this actually kind of makes me wonder at the same time. Like in retrospect, I kind of was wondering, I feel like, why the hell did I draft it Seismitoad? Well, it's because Seismitoad has that the stealth rocks, but I don't know. I guess I was thinking, you know, it's physically bulky, but so can Vape Orion. I think Seismitoad has better physical defense than Vape Orion though, and Vape Orion has a different way of approaching when it comes to power, because I think Seismitoad is just meant to set up rocks and maybe attack things a bit offensively, but it's also going to be bulky, whereas Vape Orion has to be run fully bulky, I think, in most cases. Absorb water hits, and also Wish Pass, which I think is something that Seismitoad can do. I'll admit that this pick with Vape Orion was a little bit debatable, but I think I was actually more trying to take advantage of having multiple baton pass users or something, because that's another thing that Vape Orion can do that Seismitoad can, and that's to baton pass. And like I can wish and then baton pass, or I can just you know. Oh, I think also this thing has heal bell, which is really, really good, which is another thing that Seismitoad doesn't have. It's because one of the things that I was thinking of here was actually trying to incorporate as much utility as I can, because I don't want to be surprised with anything, or I didn't want to be left with not being able to do anything. So I figured Vape Orion, yeah, it's like Seismitoad. It has the water absorbability, so it's 2 water type immunities right here that are not even, you know, naturally immune to it, but they have different functions, it seems. So that's why I picked it no matter what, somehow, anyways. But yeah, that's all I can say about Vape Orion. Vape Orion is let's see, I think Vape Orion is, it's tier 6 as well. Like geez, I 3 6-tier mons here, and they're all worth 80, so that's already like 240 points right there. But because of the low amount of points that I have left at this point, I decided to make my last mon not only a dark type to eat hits from ghost types, but also fire type moves. So my last pick, because of that thought process, is actually going to be a mon that I actually like, but definitely have never used in draft format. Hell, I don't think I've ever even used it in small gun battles, and it's really just because of how hard it is to use now. Compared to other mons, it gets outclassed by a lot of things in general, but I honestly wanted to give it a try, so here we go. This is going to be my last pick. My last pick is actually going to be freaking Houndoom. This mon is so damn cool. I love this mon. The only problem is just that it's not that good in most cases, because its physical defense is pretty damn terrible. Its special defense is alright, its HP is alright. Special attack, it's not that, well, it could be better, but you know, it could be worse at the same time, honestly. And but yeah, the Houndoom does have some cool things it can do, honestly. It can taunt things, it can Will-O-Wisp things, it can set up and then, you know, hit very, very powerfully. And it also can, what else can it do? I know there were some other things it can do. Oh yeah, I think this thing can also Destiny Bond as well. Like it can do a lot of funny things, honestly. That and not to mention it's also immune to ghost types, well, not immune to ghost types, fire types, fire type moves, because of the ability Flash Fire, which is another reason I ran it, because I also don't want to be I think this was meant to try to synergize with Jirachi, because a lot of the time Jirachi will be encountered with fire types, but then again this thing is also weak to ground types. I don't know, but I don't know, I just liked Houndoom and I just wanted to pick it in this league because, I mean, it just looks cool. This is where the whole picking mons because of how good they look comes into play, honestly. Like there's times when I just don't care about the viabilities, it's just, or the synergy, it's all just about the looks, man, because I'm just about the damn looks. It's crazy. But yeah, that's gonna be the draft. I mean, I don't really know. It's because, I mean, I would have felt good about making this draft this draft analysis if it wasn't for the fact that when I watched the stream, I wouldn't be hearing the commissioner and the other guy saying, oh, this draft is kind of debatable. Like, they tried their best not to be like bashing it a lot, but you can easily tell that they really didn't like a lot of how I draft. But I mean, hey, if it's bad, it's bad, honestly. I mean, I'm not perfect, and I never said I was good in these draft leagues to begin with. I just draft whatever I I think can work, and if it doesn't work, then it just doesn't work. I end up paying the consequences anyways in the end. not you guys. So honestly, I don't know. But again, I mean, it's good to show some criticism as well, because obviously, I mean, that way I can understand what I was messing up in and all that good stuff. But yeah, anyways, that's gonna be the whole draft analysis for IBL D-League Season 2. Hopefully we do decently. If we don't do great, then at least decently. If we get bodied, I mean, I'll be upset obviously, but what are we gonna do? Maybe my draft was terrible after all, who knows. But I mean, I don't care anyways in the end. I mean, I could get salty about it, but in the end I'll get over it anyways, like overtime anyways, because that's kind of how it's been. I lose battles and then I get mad, and then the next day I'm just not giving a shit. So but anyways, thank you all for watching this. Hope to catch you guys in the battles now, because now it's actually time for the battles. In fact, I think the first week of IBL D-League is actually going to go up right after this analysis goes up the next day, obviously. So with all that said, I'll catch you guys in the next battle or next video, but for now, just take it easy.